Despite there being a hostage deal, progressives within the Democrat Party are doubling down on calls for a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. What is up, people of the internet? It is me, Real American, back in with a new video, and today it is time that we talk about the chaos that is unfolding within the Democrat Party. Because as many of you probably know, Israel and Hamas came to a 4 to 5 day pause to fighting and a hostage exchange and whatever else. Well, despite this being quite a bit for Hamas, progressives are doubling down for a complete and total ceasefire. They're telling Biden, this isn't enough. We need to have a total ceasefire between the two sides. And what you're about to see some of these people say in this article, you would think is from The Onion for how absurd and how out of touch some of this stuff is. Again, I'm not one of those people that say we should give Israel $600 billion a year. Nor am I saying we should be killing any civilians, right, on purpose, whatever. With that being said, some of these people are just flat out idiots, delusional. I don't know what to call them. But first, before we continue with today's video, I hope you enjoy these type of videos. If you do, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the social media accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. Guys, just for $1 a month, you could join Real American. This is the best way to support the daily content that we all know and love. So I hope and recommend you join the channel today. Now, like I said before, I'm not calling anybody in this video, well, some of them I call them, but the 90% of people that are protesting the war, I'm not calling them pro-Hamas, I'm not calling them, anti-American, but let's be real. Some of these people absolutely are anti-American, anti-Israel, and pro-Hamas. They just are. So let's get into it. Progressives aren't backing down from their push for a longer ceasefire in Gaza, despite a hostage deal between Israel and Hamas that will pause the fight for 4 to 5 days. So yeah, there was a complete pause to fighting, well, mostly, between Israel and Hamas for 4 to 5 days, and they exchanged prisoners, they stopped fighting, whatever. However, progressives think that's not enough. They think, oh, that's just it. We need more. We need a total ceasefire. Wait, what? Hold on. A complete and total ceasefire? And when you see the excuses they give, it's like, have you been asleep the past 2 months? And why aren't you saying this the same thing about Ukraine and Russia? Because guess what? The war in Russia and Ukraine have a more legitimate reason to end. This one, let's just get into it, all right? Because the reasons they give for why the fighting must stop here, it's like, why aren't you saying the same thing about Ukraine and Israel? For weeks, those lawmakers have denounced the administration's Israel policy, calling on President Biden to demand a ceasefire and impose conditions on military aid to the ally. But Biden and his top aides, who agree Israel's military should uproot Hamas from Gaza, insisted the only way to improve the situation was with a hostage deal. Only then, the administration argued, will there be a pause in fighting that made it safer to bring hostages home and increase life-saving aid to Palestinians. I think this is a dumb strategy, by the way. They're still doing this crap of, oh, we're pro-Israel, but we also understand the plight of Hamas and Palestine and stuff like that. All you're doing is just pissing everybody off. You can't play both sides like this. It's stupid. It's just bizarre. It's like, what's the whole thing was, do not negotiate with terrorists, and you negotiate with Hamas, which doesn't seem like a good idea. Now, progressives who remain critical of the U.S. stance in the war have to navigate pushing Biden their way immediately after he brokered the greatest diplomatic breakthrough of the early 50-day conflict. I wouldn't call it that great. Hamas got all their people back, and we got some people back, but it didn't stop the war, and Hamas got people back. It's like, we just gave them a lot of their there are a lot of their main people back. It's like, what? I don't think it's a good strategy, but apparently to Tlaib, it's not enough. Rashid Tlaib, speaking of, is one of Biden's most strident critics in favor of ceasefire, was not satisfied with the pause in fighting, and pointing to the toll of Palestinians killed or displaced in Gaza. Oh, but the ones that got killed by Hamas in Israel, they won't say a word about that. And this is the hypocrisy that I was talking about earlier. How many Israeli citizens got slaughtered when they got attacked? Not just, an accidental, they were shooting, but they had killed a civilian on accident. They purposely targeted civilian targets. And they killed countless people. They're never going to say anything about that. And I wonder why. A temporary pause in the violence is not enough. We must move with urgency to save as many lives as possible and achieve a permanent ceasefire agreement, she said in a statement Tuesday. Where's this been for Ukraine and Russia? Where's this been? When arguably, that's a more legitimate war. This is more legitimate in that war than this one. Because the side that's purposely killing civilians is Hamas. I'm not saying Israel hasn't killed anybody, but let's be real. Hamas is the ones that started this crap slinging. They're the ones that have targeted civilians. So if your whole argument is we need the killing to stop, despite Hamas being the side doing it, and they have no intention of stopping, what are you going to say about Russia and Ukraine? This is my problem with these people. They don't give a rat's ass about, ending violence. They just hate Israel so much that, we have to screw over Israel somehow. And that's how some of them think. I don't get why people just hate Israel for the sake of it. It's always been something I thought about. It's like, why? Especially some of these reasons are just bizarre. It's factual. Israel is our best ally in the region. That doesn't mean they're perfect and we should spend $500 billion on them each year. But still, it's like, you're backing Hamas over Israel in this situation? What? When it's clearly that Israel's the good guys, or they're clearly not the ones that started killing people on purpose. When the short-term agreement expires, the bombing of innocent civilians will continue. We need a permanent ceasefire that saves lives, brings all the hostages and these arbitrary detained home, and puts an end to this horrific violence. Not a word about all the Jewish people that got murdered, that got bombed. Just nothing. We're not going to say a thing about that. And this is why the Democrats have a big fat problem. The problem with the Democrat Party is half their party is vehemently against Israel. And the president trying to play both sides. He's pissing off everyone. This has always been the problem with the Democrat coalition. Half the party backs Israel. The other half, like Tlaib, not so much. This is what I'm saying, everybody. If there's something that kills the Democrat coalition, it always was a war in the Middle East that involved Israel somehow. Because this is just, how can you have a party that has people like this and not just, one or two people on Twitter like the right has? It's like, this is a politician that was elected to Congress. There are like 4 or 5 of them. They're trying to push the ceasefire. They're trying to push this crap after the fact. And they didn't say a word about the civilians that got killed by Hamas. It's after Israel invaded Gaza. That's when it became a big problem for them. What does that tell you about these people? And why the Democrats might be in deep trouble next year. Again, Republicans have some big problems. They're united on this issue. 90% of the Republican Party are like, yeah, we got to support Israel. Now, there's disagreements to what extent, but the vast majority, 90%, support Israel. I'm in that camp. I'm not one of those people that think $500 billion a year, but I'm one of those people that understand Israel's in the right here. They got attacked first. The civilians got targeted intentionally. What am I supposed to say? I don't know the solution. I don't. But these progressives, I just don't get how your party's been able to survive this long. It's a freaking miracle. But you can't have a party that's this polar opposite on the issue. Half the party vehemently backs Israel. The other half hates Israel. Well, I would say hates them, just like we're not necessarily a fan of them. When you get politicians talking about, oh, the civilians that died, but won't mention a word about the Israeli citizens that got slaughtered, that's why people are just saying, look at the Democrat Party like, what the hell is going on over here? And the funniest thing of it all, most ironic thing, Trump is winning over some of these voters that are backing Hamas. Or not backing Hamas, just not necessarily backing Israel. Despite being one of the most pro-Israel presidents ever. The irony of it is just unbelievable, but I'm just still stunned that this is real. That they're talking like this, like, oh, it's Israel's the bad guy. They're the ones that started everything. This is a conspiracy. It's just, don't know. Don't know what to say. But anyways, folks, thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the social media accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. Thank you so much. Godspeed to all of you.